Fireside Baseball Episode 3. I'm Chris. That's Sam. Sam, it always felt like Brendan Donovan getting traded was like a rumor that would pop up over and over and over again, and then it never actually ended up happening until now. We got a Brendan Donovan trade. We got him being traded, to Seattle. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover Eugenio Suarez, his new home. Got a couple quick free agent notes on pitchers that have not been traded yet. If there's general baseball talk, that's my co-host, Sam. Sam, how the hell are you?
I'm hanging out, dude. There's a lot of news, and it's weird at this point in time for us to get this like weird wave of news at the end of the offseason because I feel like, again, this offseason was super weird, like kind of dragged through December. Now I feel like we're getting all this like crazy news in January, February, and I think we're finally starting to come to the end of it. I think trade rumor season, all that stuff is kind of over. I think Donovan was probably the last big trade chip that was going to go this offseason, so I'm excited to dig into it, man.
So I guess before we get into the Donovan trade, I do want to talk about something that's is it happening? I don't know when it is. Was it today? The Skubal arbitration hearing. Dog, so like right now, like first of all, like the Tigers have nuked any chance they even had at signing him, which it was pretty small anyway. But what was it, $19 million to Skubal's $32 million? Usually, bro, they wait to have the really, really big fish to the end of the ARB hearings. They're going first with Skubal. I'm excited to see how that's going to go. But it's going to be crazy because here we go. For the ARB hearings, everybody hates him. Owners hate him and players hate him. But basically, like Skubal's got to go in there and plead his case as to why he's worth $32 million for 1 year. All the meanwhile, the Tigers are going to explain to him and the MLB rep why he isn't worth $32 million a year. He's worth 19. Thoughts on them being this far apart, and who do you think is going to win, I guess?
I mean, listen, this is a thing that should be televised, right? Like this should be on MLB Network right now. We should be able to watch this and see how these negotiations go down and all that kind of stuff. This is ludicrous. It always kind of has been. $19 million for probably the best pitcher in baseball. You can argue him or Skeens is unbelievable to pay that kind of guy that number. $32 million, maybe a little steep. I think you could settle on like 27, 28. You're looking at that's probably a fair price. However, from Detroit to say, yeah, we think that you are the best pitcher in baseball, you are only worth $19 million in this market is ludicrous. And yes, you're correct. He's not going to come back. You know the big fish are going to be out there next offseason, throw a ton of money at him no matter what. And it just kind of shows how ugly these like ARB cases can get where it's like 1932. That is a $13 million difference between the player. That is a huge gap when you're talking about free agents that are signing these kinds of contracts, stuff like that. I remember Juan Soto in his ARB year, his last year with the Yankees, he settled at $33 million. And we were like, okay, that's fine. He's Juan Soto. He deserves that kind of money. Derek Skubal at 32 is I'm like, like we're probably right there. You're a top 10 player in baseball. You kind of deserve that money. But 19 from Detroit is absolutely ludicrous. And I'm sure that you agree on that point.
Dude, it's hilarious. It's hilarious to me because like Skubal, and I think, was it Blake Snell? One of the pitchers talked about it before. Like it sucks to like hear, you know, your team trash you right before the year. Then you're going to go out and play for them every X amount of days. And it's like, okay, like they're going to trash Skubal. I saw a tweet. Do you remember we tried to hike the ball during the
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, said it's funny that this is going to come up in court. Skubal trying to go between the legs, up and out, because did it twice. But I wanted to open with that. All right, second thing I want to hit, because I do think it's important. The Brendan Donovan trade is a big trade, maybe the biggest trade of the offseason.
Probably. I think so. I think as far as talent, I think if you look at Peralta for sure.
Okay, Peralta, my bad. Peralta. I guess who do you like more? Or what's a more impactful trade, this trade or the Luis Robert?
Oh, this one for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This one for sure. Yeah.
Got you. I guess
I'm so in love. Player too.
I'm so in love with the boomer bust of Luis that he just like takes up more headspace in Chris Drew's mind, even though Brendan Donovan is the better player. So the deal is from passing, the Mariners get Donovan and the Cards get they get the switch pitcher. Shut him down. They get Petey, Colton, and 2 competitive balance round B picks. So it's always weird seeing stuff
that's
like
interesting.
That. Oh, and the Rays get Ben Williamson.
Yeah, it was a weird like three. I guess that was like it was probably a 3-2 trade at the point where like the Rays got involved and like they just kind of get it across the finish line. But this trade was interesting, man. I think that they got a great get in Brendan Donovan. This is obviously a player that we've been talking about for years that has been circulating in trade rumors. Like, where's he going to go? He makes sense on this team. He makes sense on that team. I think for St. Louis at this point now, this is kind of their offseason where they wanted to get rid of all their veterans, the guys that were going to hit free agency. Like you saw Wilson Contreras and who else went to Boston. Sonny Gray went to Boston. They both got dealt out. And then here goes Brendan Donovan too. But for Seattle, this is obviously a big get. This kind of fills in that like Jorge Polanco. And then we're going to talk about Gino later. They both left this offseason. He's going to fill in at third base for them, I guess. But this is a player that he can play everywhere, doesn't strike out a ton, gets on base a ton, 355 OBP last year, I think. He's an incredible bat-to-ball guy. I think that he fits perfectly for this Seattle team. And I'm curious to see, like, is he going to play third or is he going to play second base? Like, where does he fit on this roster? I know that they kind of churn out second base, like, type guys, like, consistently. But, like, I think that this is a huge get for Seattle. He's an incredible player that needed to get off that St. Louis team for a long time. And I don't think he's necessarily gotten the shine that he's deserved by playing on these poor Cardinals teams.
You're right. He does deserve more shine. It's funny because after they let Suarez go, and say what you will, like, we're going to talk about him in a little bit, like defensive liability, but the bat is explosive. One of the things that I was reading during getting ready for one of my notebooks was that they didn't want to block Colt Emerson, who's one of the top 5 shortstops currently in the minors, across all minors, and that they like him at third or second. So they like him at third. Thought he could add a little bit more size, like get some power. But I guess they're going to either put that on hold or when they do bring up Colt, play him at second base. Because obviously third, you're going to play B. Don.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. But I wonder how he stacks up analytically at third base compared to second base. I would assume he's probably a better defender at second base. So I feel like that's where he spent the majority of his career. But this is like he can play second, he can play short, third. Like he can even play the corners I think he's logged innings.
He's got
in center field and at first base. Right, yeah, for sure.
Type that I think,
but that's also like why he's had so much value in this market for so long, and like why I think St. Louis kind of probably waited out a little too long. I think if they would have traded him last year, they would have gotten
a bigger return,
like way more value for him. Like instead of right now when he's going to hit free agency, I think he hits free agency next off season.
I believe he's 29.
2 years of control.
He's 29, so I think he's got 2 years of control. But I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah. So like. I don't know, man. I feel like if they would have dealt him last year, but then he again had another incredible year last season in St. Louis as well. So, like he could pretty much do anything on a diamond and is awesome at the plate as well. So, like he's your perfect like util guy, that like type of profile that you want out of a player. I would probably say like among like the guys that you would completely classify as util guys, he's probably the best in the league.
Yeah, no, he is. I would say he's the best in the league. Best in the league, because here we go. Like not every utility guy you feel good playing every single day.
Correct. Yeah.
Like he can play every single day at a bunch of different spots. So that's kind of what makes him valuable. So he's ARB this year for 5.8, ARB 3 next year, and then 2028 as a 31-year-old will be an unrestricted free agent. So that's big on them. And I guess I want to ask you about the Mariners lineup. I projected you got Donovan hitting leadoff, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Arosa Rain at 5. How would you rate? How do you feel about the first half of their lineup?
I mean, it's scary. It's scary as hell. I mean, like adding a bat like Brendan Donovan to replace like, Jorge Polanco over the past couple of years, pretty consistent. He had a great year last year out there. I think
big year last year. I don't think he's going to repeat that year though. Just
no. But like that was I don't necessarily want to call it an outlier year, but like he was a lot better than he had been over the past couple of seasons. So obviously that's like you lose that production out, but then you kind of add Brendan Donovan in, who's kind of been like the peak of consistency in St. Louis for the past couple of seasons. Like I think that you're still super scary. However, when you look at their lineup as a whole, Chris, if you look at it on paper compared to where they ended last year, obviously they lose Polanco and then they lose Gino, but you don't necessarily have that filler for one of Polanco or Gino. I know that Gino wasn't awesome down the stretch for them last season. However, when you look at the names on paper, it's a lot less scary because it's just Brendan Donovan in and then Polanco and Gino out.
How do you feel about Josh Naylor, the player? Are you a Josh Naylor guy?
You know what? I'm not at all. I am like the exact opposite. Obviously, we're Yankee people, so we kind of have like longstanding beef with Josh Naylor.
But here, however, I'm in Northeast Ohio, so like I've covered him. He is one of the weirder players, I think, to me.
How many bases do you still have?
Dude, that's what I was pulling up, dude. So
like
last
30
year,
bases or something?
Yeah,
like,
he swiped 30 bags this year and hit 295.
Like, dude, like you're a shortstop.
Yeah.
You're a center fielder. Like if you put that up, like you just like put up the stats and it was like, name me this player. You're not spitting out Josh Naylor. You're probably going to spit out J-Rod. Like you spit out J-Rod and be like, yeah, like he's 295, like 30 bags, like whatever. or even Brendan Donovan. You probably spit out Brendan Donovan, not Josh Naylor, the like huge guy. Like he's a huge first
Bro, I'll
baseman.
say, bro, I love Josh's fat ass, man. One of the things I disliked about him in Cleveland was that he just kept gaining weight because he used to be a toolsy player. Remember, he was an outfielder.
Yeah.
And he broke his ankle, and that was kind of it. And he started just gaining all this weight. They couldn't get him to stop. But like, if you go back to like, here we go. Last year, he only had 20 home runs and only had 92 RBIs. The year before, though, in Cleveland, before Cleveland opted to move him, he posted less WAR, but he had 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. And it was funny because like me and a couple of my friends were like looking. It's like he went like there were very, very few players in the league that had 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, but an OPS under 780. There were only two last year. Well, 2 years ago now. It was him and Cal Raleigh were the only two. And then Cal Raleigh obviously exploded last year, and the OPS is well over 780. But the fact that Josh Naylor like went 770 OPS, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and then the next year said, you know what? I'm going to hit 20 bombs. I'm going to have my average jump from 243 to 295, and I'm going to swipe 30 bags. Like he is confusing to me.
Dude, he's the weirdest player in the sport.
So weird, bro.
He is the weirdest player in the sport. Like when it 100% comes down to, I don't know. Do you think that he steals bases because opposing teams don't expect him to?
Dude, so yes, there was that weird week right before the All-Star break because I kept seeing him pop because I'm a fantasy baseball player. I kept seeing his name pop up like in the fantasy feeds for people. And I go and I look. And so I go watch the stolen bases. It's just like no one's keeping tabs on him. But then, dog, later in the year, they're like, all right, we know he's about to swipe one. Right. I watched him swipe second and third on back-to-back pitches. And I'm like, yo, this is stuff we see literally in Little League.
No, it's like unbelievable. And for a dude that's that big, you don't see that ever. So like, and I know that was one of the larger storylines because the Mariners made it so far last year. They went to the CS Game 7 against Toronto. And that's all people were talking about was, how is this big ass dude just swiping bags as soon as he gets on base? Like, and he's not particularly fast. Like he's one of the slowest guys in the league. He's one of the slowest guys in the league, and he's still stealing 30 a year.
His sprint speed, 3rd percentile.
Like, dude, it makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
Like when if someone
had told you a year ago that Juan Soto and Josh Naylor combined for over 60 stolen bases, you'd have been like, no way.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Because he's like he never does that either. Like
no, but he did it last year. Bro. Juan Soto has more 40-30 seasons than Jose Ramirez,
which is nuts.
Which is one.
Insane. Yeah, like it's nuts. But like, dude, Josh Naylor to me, weirdest player in baseball.
So weird,
like hands down. It's not even close. Like, if you flash the stats to anybody, you're going to get any name spat out at you that's not Josh Naylor. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
100% not Josh Naylor, bro. I can't believe the Guardians were so excited to move on from him. Dude, Passan had an exceptional tweet, I thought. It was like, over the last 3 years, player A, 366 games, slash line 282, 351, 420 with a 117 WRC plus and 7.5 F4. Player B, 355 games. Here's a slash line 291, 333, and 445 with a 116 WRC plus and 8.0 F4. Player B is Brendan Donovan. Player A is Bo Bichette, who just got absolutely paid, basically saying that Seattle got a very good, very underappreciated player. Now, look, Bo is better than Brendan Donovan. But Brendan Donovan is a fantastic player and opportunity cost, huge get for Seattle to plug into that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Chris, if I looked at you right now and I said, we're going to give Brendan Donovan $36 million a year, you would look at me like I'm stupid.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
but Bichette just got $42 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's damn near the exact same stat line. And again, we're not going to sit here and say that Donovan's better than Bichette. However, there's a couple things that play in here, right? Bichette, obviously, last year goes in the Deep World Series run with Toronto, okay? Yeah. Donovan has kind of been rotting away in St. Louis playing for a really poor team. So the national media coverage is not on Brendan Donovan at all. When a lot of that stuff, Bichette being, Dante's kid and like playing with Vladdy and that whole thing, there's a lot of national media coverage on Bo Bichette. but nobody really talks about Brendan Donovan, how great that guy is. Why is Brendan Donovan so great at the plate? He gets on base, dude. That 355 clip is no joke. He's an ultra talented player. But again, if you look at me and you tell me, well, let's give Brendan Donovan $36 million a year, you're going to look at me like I'm stupid. But for Bo Bichette getting 42, we're like, oh, that's okay. Like, good for you. This is an underappreciated player. Maybe probably the most underappreciated player in the league, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be him and Jose Ramirez, but Jose Ramirez is starting to get like a little bit more of a shine. But Brendan Donovan hitting ahead of Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez, like that's going to be really helpful because both those guys have like huge power potential. So I'm excited about that. All right, the other big ad, Gino, Mr. Suarez headed back to the Reds on a 1 year, $15 million?
Yeah,
he had 52 dingers a year ago, dude. The Reds spending is awesome. Well, spending is awesome, and Gino going back to a player, I mean, a hitter-friendly park is also awesome. I was happy to see the Reds land him.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this is a player that, like, listen, man, like, I know that the Reds had the weird stuff at the beginning of the offseason with Schwarber, and it was like, we'll only go to like 100 for Schwarber, and it was like, we're not going to go any higher than this. And like, there was weird stuff that came out about their owner as far as like, hey, like, we just did this to sell tickets, and then you kind of bring him a guy like
they're a weird cheap
weird,
like
man.
them and the Pirates.
Yeah, it's weird, but then like Pittsburgh like has done a decent job this offseason, dude.
They're pretend spending,
low key. Yeah, I mean it's like the first like it was Ryan O'Hearn. It's like the first like multi-year deal in like years for them.
Pretend spending.
It was a 2-year deal. Like it's not even like a 5-year deal or something like that. But for Gino, man, I think this is great. For him to go back to where it all started for him. I know he's kind of bouncing. He's had a weird like career path. It was like Cincinnati to Seattle to Arizona, back to Seattle, and then back to Cincinnati. Like, but for him to go out there, dude, like I think that he's probably going to go out there and hit 40 bombs a year. Like, playing a Great American Ballpark, dude, he's going to mash. He's going to play DH for them every day. It's a good spot for him to land. He's an ultra talented guy, but the one concern that I think the teams had about him in free agency last year that I kind of tapped on earlier that I hinted at is that he was like really poor once he got to Seattle again. He was 91 WRC plus and then completely fell off from that like magical first half that he had last year when he hit 36 home runs in Arizona. So maybe teams were a little, scared to kind of give him a multi-year deal or like give him a little bit more money. However, I still think this is a super talented bat that lands in a spot where he can relatively rake with a young team out there in Cincinnati.
Yeah, a lot of power, man. And obviously, like, I don't love being like the savant guy, but you pull up the savant page and it's like, I don't know if we'll be able to replicate that. I mean, you're talking about bottom third of the league in taking walks, bottom of the league in strikeouts and whiffs, near the bottom of the league in chase rate, near the bottom of the league in squared up, and the bat speed is middle of the league, which is okay, and the sweet spot is on the lower end too. So you're talking about a guy who, for someone who hit 52 home runs postseason and regular season combined, you look at a savant page and it's a whole lot of blue. Now look, it's not the end all be all, but it is something that you look at when you're thinking about giving a guy a big deal, and then also the strikeout stuff on top of it. So kind of looking at it like, I was surprised though that another team with a more full lineup didn't want to take a chance on him, thinking, okay, if he's in our lineup, he's going to see more strikes, right? Like, and maybe, and I'm not super clued on what the Red Sox got going on, but if I was the Red Sox, I think I would have went and tried to get a splash bat.
Yeah, I mean, comparatively to what happened in this offseason with them losing Bregman and not necessarily like filling in that hole out there in Boston, I feel like he probably made the most sense for him to go out there. Like, I don't think the Reds are going to be this like ultra talented team this year that like win a division and like go to the postseason and that kind of stuff. So for Gino to go out there, I think there's an impact there that he's going to be a good player, but it's not like a postseason contender where I feel like, yeah, you're 100% right. He probably could have been great in Boston, or he probably could have even been great going back to Seattle and playing third base again and then putting Brendan Donovan at second base. Like, back to what I was talking about earlier. So like, yeah, it is a little bit disappointing that he didn't go to a contender. However, I don't necessarily think we even heard rumors about him whatsoever this offseason. It was super quiet. It was literally just, hey, he's one of the last guys left in the market. Let's shove him in Cincinnati and he can go there, play for a year. Like, it was really weird with him that there wasn't any smoke.
And like, I know he's older than Santander, but Santander had the 40 home runs and then ended up getting a pretty sizable deal to go to the Blue Jays and did absolutely nothing. He was so bad, bro. He got $92 million a year ago.
It's disgusting. It is that deal sucks.
That deal sucks. And like, is anybody surprised with how bad he was this year?
No, and you know what's crazy is nobody talks about that deal.
No, nobody talks about that deal. Like,
because that team went to the World Series. That's why. So it doesn't matter. But like, that deal is horrible. Like, that's it's not going to cripple them. They obviously like went and like spent their money and like we're kind of in on everybody else this offseason. But like, dude, that deal stinks.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, like, well, 40 home runs in a single season, like that potential is worth 5 for 92.
Yeah.
They did it, and then you look at Geno, and I'm like, I thought that Geno was going to get a deal, like 3-year deal, but comparable to that AAV, considering kind of the power potential. And if you look at the Red Sox, Doug, like their line, I mean, they're going to be counting on Marcelo Meyer in a huge way. Probably going to play third for them this year. You got Romy Gonzalez, Marcelo Meyer, and Christian Campbell. One of the three has to play well. And so I thought maybe they try to relieve some pressure by, I guess, trying to spend. But again, no rumors. The only rumors with Suarez were return to Seattle or the Reds, and the Reds ended up getting it done. Dude, the Giants offseason, another signing, Luis Arraez, batting, 3-time batting champion, 3 different teams, is headed to the Giants. And I almost left this off the show notes because I'm like, he doesn't move the needle too much for me, but what moves the needle is when I saw like New York radio people saying, oh, the Yankees should have signed him instead of offering the Q out of tradition. I'm like, okay, you could tell really quickly who doesn't watch baseball. The next thing is, what are the Giants doing? They have Devers and Eldridge hammering down first base, meaning that Luis Arraez is going to have to play second base in the major leagues in the big year of 2026. They have had a strange offseason because they signed Harrison Bader. What did I tell you? We value defense, right? We value defense. Our infield defense is going to matter too. Obviously, we know how it is in the corner. And then I'm going to go, you know what? No defense, no base running, no power, but average. Thoughts on Luis Arraez to the Giants, and which is a weird offseason for them.
I will say the career trajectory of Luis Arraez is like the most insane thing ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of times that he got traded around, and it was like, I think probably 3 years ago, you looked at him and he was like a perennial all-star, and you were like, well, he'll probably get a multi-year deal once he hits free agency, and he signs a 1-year deal to stay out to be out in San Francisco right now. Chris, this guy couldn't play first base. Luis Arraez could not play first base. You want to put him at second base where he's stuck for the majority of his career. And that was the one absolute negative about him, was that he could not play defense at second base. Then they tried to move him to first base to make it happen. That didn't work out whatsoever. San Diego didn't bring him back. Now he's going to go to San Francisco. This is poor fundamentally from the Giants. Like, to just from their roster position to say, yeah, let's give him money and he's going to be our everyday second baseman. This is a player with one tool. And, I know that certain people have a different eye for, what's a better tool here and there, like what it is, yada, 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 like that kind of stuff. He's a contact guy. That's literally it. And unfortunately, in this day and age of baseball, the, hit tool is not the largest thing that we look at as far as when we look at players. So when you're a super one-dimensional player, like Luis Arraez, who is a super contact guy, yeah, he can hit 300, but he's going to probably get on base at a 305 clip. What's he going to slug? 330. He's going to be like a 650 OPS dude that hits 300. Like, that's literally it. That's all he's providing for your baseball team. Can't play defense. I don't understand this from the Giants whatsoever. Plus, on top of that, you have Rafael Devers playing first base. I know that he was better over there at first base towards the end of the season because he was so bad at third base, obviously out there in Boston. But you're now right side of the infield defense is super shaky with Devers and Arraez, and this just does not make a ton of sense to me.
It's bizarre, especially when you consider Buster Posey is the GM. It's like, this does not feel like a Buster Posey player to me. Like when they went and got Harrison Bader and they're like, all right, Jung Ho Lee, you can't play center anymore. We need an upgrade there. And Jung Ho Lee was a pretty not great center fielder, like, to the least. It's like, to make that upgrade, okay, cool. Like, we get it. We care about fundamentals. Want to be good up the middle. That matters. And you go sign Luis Arraez. And here we go. Like, Luis Arraez hitting over 300 and his ex-WOBA, his ex-weighted on base percentage, being bottom fourth of the league, tells me that one tool is actually a curse because he refuses to take walks, is what it means too.
Yeah, he's a first pitch swinger. He's first pitch swinger, like all the time.
Just let me dump the ball. Let me dump the ball in the right field, left field. So I think it's a weird offseason. And then additionally, what else did the Giants do this offseason? They hired a first-time manager, not only a first-time manager, but a manager who's never even been in the MLB. They went and got a college head coach and made him a manager. The Giants have had by far the strangest offseason out of any team.
Oh, it's unbelievably weird. Like
Straight.
that move in and of itself, and that was super early. And
Yeah, that
everybody
was
like,
early,
kinda
and
like,
people kind of forgot about it. It was
question
early.
marks up, like what is this? Like, this is like so out of the ordinary. And again, you kind of mentioned it, Chris. It's like this is a Buster Posey ran organization right here that we're looking at. This is not what we expected whatsoever. Was these kinds of hires, and then like the Bader signing makes a ton of sense, right? I
Yeah.
know that people have called him. I noticed on one of your episodes, people were calling him a fourth outfielder. That's ludicrous,
Bro. That was good about. He was tripping.
Nuts.
He was
Like,
tripping. I'm looking. I'm like, dude, it's crazy because when I do my research and I like listen to a lot of baseball stuff, I'm like, am I what did I miss? What did I miss?
That's a super talented dude. Like the only thing that's really held him back is him not being able to be on the field.
Right.
Like Bader's biggest issue was him not being able to play defense. But like people talk like wherever the big outfield targets went this offseason, Harrison Bader was then the fallback option. These teams were not going to sign him to be the fourth outfielder in your baseball team. He was always going to start for you. He was awesome in Philadelphia last year. That's why he had so much value coming over from Minnesota. Like, great get for San Francisco. But then you go and sign Luis Arraez, man.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
what is
confusing
this?
me, Buster. You're
What are you
confusing me.
doing?
You're confusing me, Buster.
Oh,
I'm
it doesn't make
confused.
any sense.
And I want former players to have success in this role, but it's kind of I'm looking at him a little sideways. And also like the fourth outfielder thing is so crazy. Harrison Bader posted 4 B-WAR last year.
I know. Yeah, that's why it's like, no, it's like he was incredible last year. Like he was awesome, dude.
Make sure you like and sub. The Sport's been awesome. I'm Chris. That's Sam. This is Fireside Baseball. Make sure you check us out on all socials. The links will be down below. And drop a comment. Show some support. And we'll talk to you when we talk to you.